For many people, motorcycles represent freedom, independence, and the joy of the open road. But what if you live with a mobility impairment and rely on accessible parking? Can you get a disabled parking plate for your motorcycle? The answer depends largely on your state's regulations, but in many cases, yes, individuals with qualifying disabilities can obtain accessible parking credentials for a motorcycle. Understanding how it works, what options are available, and how to use them properly is essential. First, it is important to understand that disabled parking eligibility is based on the individual, not the vehicle. If you meet your state's medical qualifications for accessible parking, you may be eligible for either a disability parking permit, a specialized license plate, or both. The specific type of credential available for motorcycles varies from state to state. Some states issue disability license plates specifically designed for motorcycles. These plates function similarly to disabled parking plates issued for passenger vehicles. When properly registered, the motorcycle plate itself serves as proof of eligibility to park in designated accessible spaces. Other states may not offer a specialized motorcycle disability plate, but will allow individuals to use a standard disability parking permit while operating a motorcycle. In this case, the permit must be displayed in a way that complies with state rules. Because motorcycles do not have rearview mirrors like passenger vehicles, displaying a hanging permit is often not practical. Some states allow for smaller permit cards or alternative display methods that can be secured to the motorcycle when parked. Before applying, check with your state's Department of Motor Vehicles to confirm what options are available. Requirements typically include completing an application and obtaining medical certification from a licensed healthcare provider. The provider must verify that you meet the state's definition of a qualifying mobility impairment. Qualifying conditions often include difficulty walking a certain distance without rest, the need for assistive devices such as crutches or braces, severe lung or heart conditions, neurological disorders that affect mobility, or other conditions that substantially limit walking ability. Temporary disabilities may qualify for short-term permits, while permanent conditions may qualify for long-term or permanent credentials. It is important to understand that having a disability does not automatically mean a motorcycle is the safest or most practical transportation option. Motorcycles require balance, coordination, and physical strength. Individuals with certain mobility limitations may need adaptive modifications to operate a motorcycle safely. Hand controls, modified seating, or trike conversions are sometimes used to improve stability and accessibility. If you are considering riding with a disability, prioritize safety first. Consult your healthcare provider about your physical capabilities and limitations. If adaptive equipment is required, work with qualified professionals who specialize in motorcycle modifications. Once you have obtained a disability parking permit or plate for your motorcycle, proper use is essential. Accessible parking spaces are designed to provide additional room for entering and exiting vehicles safely. For motorcycle riders with mobility impairments, being closer to a building entrance can significantly reduce walking distance and fatigue. However, motorcycles are smaller than cars and vans, which can create unique parking considerations. In some cases, a motorcycle may fit comfortably within a standard parking space. If you do not require the additional space provided by an accessible parking area, consider whether using a standard spot would preserve accessible spaces for those who need extra width for ramps or lifts. That said, if your condition significantly limits walking distance or endurance, using an accessible space is appropriate when you have valid credentials. Always follow posted signage and local regulations. Another factor to consider is stability when parking. Accessible parking areas are often level and located near curb ramps or smooth pathways. Choosing a flat surface can help prevent tipping and provide a more secure place to mount or dismount your motorcycle. Weather conditions also matter. Rain, snow, or loose gravel can create hazardous footing for riders with mobility impairments. Accessible spaces that are well maintained and close to entrances may reduce exposure to slippery or uneven terrain. Misuse of accessible parking remains a concern across the country. Only individuals with valid disability parking permits or plates should use these spaces. Display your credentials clearly according to state guidelines to avoid fines or misunderstandings. Some riders wonder whether accessible parking rules differ for motorcycles in terms of time limits or fees. In many states, vehicles displaying valid disability credentials may be exempt from certain parking meter fees or time restrictions, but this varies widely. Always verify local laws before assuming exemptions apply. There are also considerations regarding parking garages. Motorcycles are sometimes directed to designated motorcycle parking areas, which may not always be close to accessible entrances. If you have a valid disability parking permit or plate, you may have the right to use an accessible space within the garage instead of a standard motorcycle section. When in doubt, ask facility management for clarification. Insurance and registration requirements remain the same regardless of disability status. Obtaining a disabled parking plate does not change your responsibility to maintain proper motorcycle licensing, insurance coverage, and compliance with traffic laws. For riders with temporary injuries, such as a broken leg or recent surgery, applying for a temporary disability parking permit may be appropriate. This can make short-term recovery periods more manageable while maintaining mobility. For those with permanent conditions, accessible parking can make everyday activities more feasible. Reducing walking distance between your motorcycle and your destination conserves energy and reduces strain. It is also worth noting that public awareness about motorcycles and accessible parking may be limited. Some people may question why a motorcycle is parked in an accessible space. Remember that disabilities are not always visible. As long as you have a valid permit or plate and meet eligibility requirements, you are within your rights to use designated spaces appropriately. Ultimately, whether you can get a disabled parking plate for your motorcycle depends on state-specific regulations. In many cases, the answer is yes, provided you meet medical eligibility criteria and follow the proper application process. Accessible parking exists to support independence and safety for individuals with mobility challenges. For motorcycle riders with qualifying disabilities, having the appropriate disability parking permit or plate can make a meaningful difference in daily convenience and comfort. If you are considering this option, start by contacting your state's motor vehicle department to understand available credentials and requirements. Gather necessary medical documentation, complete the application accurately, and ensure you understand display rules. With proper planning, legal compliance, and a focus on safety, riders with disabilities can continue enjoying the freedom of motorcycling while benefiting from the accessibility accommodations they need. We hope you found this information helpful. If you need assistance obtaining a handicapped placard or plate and want to avoid the hassle, paperwork confusion, or trying to coordinate a doctor's appointment on your own, visit handicappedparking.com. Our platform connects you with licensed doctors online from the comfort of your home, making the process simple, secure, and stress-free. If you're facing any challenges with your disabled parking permit, let us know and we'll see what we can do to help you regain your traveling freedom. Our goal is to give you the knowledge and support you need to improve your quality of life. Be sure to follow this channel for more answers to your handicap parking questions and feel free to leave a comment below. We're always happy to help. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.